Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. On today's show, can Lonzo Ball's new jump shot fix his shooting woes? Plus, Sacrum Barkley joins the show to talk about the NFL draft and what potential teams can expect from him. And does adding Ndamukong Suh make the Rams favorites to win the NFC? Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. Let's start with Lonzo Ball. His Lakers lost last night in Detroit, but he still had a good night on the stat sheet. Lonzo finished with 15 points, 8 rebounds, and 11 assists. But more importantly, he made 7 of his 8 shot attempts. He also showed off a new mid-range jumper and different shooting form. Let's take a listen to Lonzo and Luke Walton after the game.
He was under control all game. So the ones he were hitting were good shots, which I think kind of shows how much he's been working on his game. Those are shots he wasn't even shooting earlier in the year.
I just focus on being a little bit more aggressive and going inside more than outside. So, more pull-ups, more getting into the lane and try to create from there. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But like I said, I just try to do what I can with my team win. I like to play free, so I don't like looking at stats and nothing. I just go out there, focus on the score.
Skip, what did you see from Lonzo last night?
So, Shannon Sharpe, speaking of LeBron James, my guy Lonzo Ball does already have one thing in common with LeBron James.
What's that?
And that is, it's something every night. There's some new story every night with LeBron James and with Lonzo Ball. And Lonzo's roller coaster rolled into Detroit last night, and it can be something great, it can be something awful, and some nights, as you know, it's something great and something awful. But last night, in Lonzo's 51st NBA game, he decided to feature a shot that I have rarely seen him even attempt to shoot this year, a mid-range jump shot. And again, in his 51st game, he suddenly tried 3 mid-range jump shots. And the first one was kind of a fall-away, step-back jump shot, and it went right in.
On one leg, too.
Off one leg. And the last one was just a sweet shot right off the glass, like he'd been doing it his whole life, which I assume he has been, but we don't see it in pro basketball games.
Right.
So I'm thinking, wait a second. All 3 of those shots were shot conventionally from the right side of his face, the way everybody else shoots it, right?
Right.
And all 3 of those shots, to me, they looked confident. They looked assertive. They looked like they were shot with conviction, like he meant to shoot them that way, and like he was extremely comfortable shooting him that way.
Right.
And I thought, wait a second, who is that guy? Because I haven't seen that guy at all this year. And I thought, that's lethal, man. If that's a new weapon in your repertoire and you can shoot that consistently every night, will that not change the way he's guarded?
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. So then, to your point, you've been saying, what's he doing shooting so many threes? 6 threes, 7 threes, whatever.
12.
And 12 threes. And why is he shooting so many threes? Well, maybe he was listening to you because last night he shot no threes until 2:44 was left in a game. 2:44 left, and all of a sudden, he just steps into a 3 and just rips it as clean as you want. That was the only 3 he took the whole night, and he made it, and guess what? He shot it sideways, like he usually shoots 3-point shots. So now we're back to the identity crisis of, Lonzo, who are you? You shoot free throws conventionally, and you shoot them horribly.
Right.
You shoot 3-point shots sideways, and sometimes you go on a hot streak, and sometimes you go on the all-time cold streak that we've ever seen. And now you're shooting mid-range jump shots the right way, conventionally from the right side of your face, and they look sweet to me, like you could really make that a killer weapon for you. And I'm thinking, who are you, Lonzo? And then meanwhile, for the game, or after the game, Luke Walton says that he was frustrated that Lonzo passed up so many open threes. And I was getting a little antsy. Just go ahead and shoot that. If they're daring you to shoot it, you got to shoot it. And instead, he would attack off the dribble, which is fine. And Luke said it was at least okay that he went ahead and was aggressive.
Right.
Because some nights, he's not aggressive at all. So all of a sudden, most nights he's not aggressive. I'll give you that. So last night, he winds up at Detroit in a game they ended up losing after playing a really good first half and not very good second half. He goes 7 for 8 from the field. He's got 15 points, 8 rebounds, 11 assists, and for the 3rd straight night on the road, he flirts with another triple-double. So I look back to what Jason Terry said sitting here yesterday. he doesn't have that Jason Kidd in him, that dog in him. Yet Jason sat on the bench one night when he didn't get to play early this year in Milwaukee when Lonzo Ball went for 19, 12, and 13 against the team coached by Jason Kidd. And it was almost like Lonzo said, okay, Jason Kidd, they say I'm going to be the next Jason Kidd. Watch this. I'm going to show you. And after his horrible start this year where he got embarrassed and humiliated by Patrick Beverley, he went right on to Phoenix the next night, and what did he do there? He went for 29, 11, and 9. So I'm seeing bursts of absolute brilliance. I think he's special. I think he will ultimately be transcended. And I'm seeing lots of numbers here, but they're wildly erratic, inconsistent numbers. And then all of a sudden, I see a jump shot that could make him beyond Magic Johnson as a shooter, because Magic had no jump shot at all.
Right.
He developed a set shot, as we know.
Shot, yes.
And it worked, man,
Yeah.
but it took him a while to figure that part out. Well, Lonzo clearly has the athletic ability and the touch to shoot at 6'7" tall, a mid-range jumper. That would be really hard to defend. I got to tell you, if the point guard's guarding you, no point guard's going to be able to stop that.
Well, I mean, you almost seem upset that it's taken him this long.
Well, I don't know, where was it? We're in game number 51, and we haven't seen that at all. And it was like he decided last night, okay, Shannon, watch this. Watch. Here's a shot I can shoot. Why don't we see that every night?
Well, I think the biggest thing for him, Skip, is that he was successful shooting that shot all the way through. It got him to college. It got him to be the number 2.
You mean the mid-range jump shot or the three-point shot?
That exaggerated, that
sideways shot.
That way shot.
Yeah.
So it would have been hard. And remember, Magic said, no, we're not going to tinker with it. We're going to let him see how it goes first.
Yeah.
Well, it looks to me, Skip, while he was injured, he'd been working on this. This didn't all of a sudden just come about. He's been working on this aspect. Now, it's not totally to the right side, but it's not.
It's pretty close.
Well, it's not nearly as
Heck no.
exaggerated.
The other one is just flat out sideways. You're shooting it from clear over here.
And maybe because if you're going to shoot the mid-range, Skip, it's going to be really hard, just like it would be really hard to get that shot off if someone's guarding you coming way from over here. So you almost have to. Maybe, you know what, the pressure of if we lose this game, we're going to be out of the playoffs, because I believe he was going to work on that shot this summer. He was going to come back and do what Markelle Fultz did in his rookie season, change his shot. But he's saying, you know what, if I'm going to change my shot over the summer, why not go ahead and get a head start on it now in meaningful playing basketball? Although we're out of playoff contention, at least I can get some work on some things and see how it will work in an actual game. Because, you work on it in the summer, and then you come back and implement it during the game. Well, hey, Skip, I'm going to do it in the summer. I'm going to go ahead and get a head start on it. I was impressed. I was happy to see that he had a mid-range game, because we had never seen this aspect before.
No.
Forget the 7 or 8, Skip. I'm not talking about that, but we had never seen him put the ball on the floor and then pull up from the mid-range. And he was swishing it. But like you said, remember, he went to the 3. He went back to what he felt most comfortable.
Right.
And that's what he's going to have to do, because it seems to me, Skip, he made a conscious effort. I'm going to shoot it like this. I'm going to shoot it like this. But when he had to go out for a little further, what is his muscle remembering?
And it's still more of a set shot. He's not jumping into it.
And the thing is, he'll never get that shot off if somebody's guarding him. Like Steph, even if you're guarding Steph can get his shot off.
It's a jumper.
Exactly.
Yep. And it's shot from an apex. It has height to it.
Yes, and him, unless it's a catch and shoot,
Yep.
he's not pulling up that shot on anyone. And I think he has to develop the mid-range. So in order for him to be the player that he wants to be and who you think he can be, Skip, he realized this shot can't take me where I want to go, because I'm never going to be able to get it off, and I'm never going to be able to be consistent enough with it in the mid-range game. That's why he's so inconsistent. Skip, the thing, consistency come when it's textbook. His technique, that shot, Skip, you're never going to shoot 40, 50, 48%. Now, Steph Curry, every once in a while, will hover around 50% from the field, but he's shooting so many threes and he's shooting from such distance. But he's normally a 47 to 48% field goal guy.
Okay, but the mid-range looked textbook to me.
Yes.
They looked pure. They look like a shooter's shot.
Yeah.
They look like he has a go-to shot that we just haven't even seen him try to feature.
But it's going to have to be, Skip, because if it's that exaggerated motion, he'll never get that off. You'll never get that shot, Skip. If you start that ball
off, okay.
No. If in the mid-range,
somebody's face?
Right. I'm talking about that exaggerated motion from way over here. You can't get that shot off against anybody, Skip. He always catch and shoots.
And yet, to your point again, last night still 0 for 0 from the free throw line, so he just doesn't drive it enough because I still think he's got demons on, do I really want to go stand there by myself and shoot those free throws?
Right.
Because the free throw is a standstill shot for him that he still tries to shoot conventionally.
Right.
And he has no touch, no arc. It's all flat and quick, and it looks wrong to me. The jump shot looked right. There have been NBA players who decided to shoot jump shots from the free throw line.
Right.
I don't know. He's going to have to find some compromise in his identity crisis. Am I this guy or this guy? At the free throw line, if you're the point guard, you got to make 80% of your free throws. You just have to.
Because you have the ball so much.
Okay, but what gave me heart last night was I saw those 3 jump shots, and they looked like a guy who had a pure motion that can be somehow refined into a good free throw shot.
Well, at least can you be 50% happy? Although he didn't get all the way to the cup, at least he's not selling from threes and deep jumpers. He's pulling up in the mid-range game, so the next transition is to get all the way to the basket.
Yeah.
Skip, he's not when you look at, and I don't look at Lonzo as being athletic. I don't look at him as a Russell Westbrook. I don't look at him as a finisher like Harden or Kyrie Irving. I see him as a facilitator, a big guy that has decent handles. I don't see him as one of these flash guards. That's not what he is, Skip.
You know, every once in a while, I see a flash of athletic, raw.
Well, he had the big crossover he did have the big crossover on the step back, on the pull-up. So I'm like, okay, where'd that come from, Lonzo?
All of this is part of aggressiveness that we don't see on a nightly basis, which drives me nearly to an early grave because he's better than that. We see it every once in a while, but to Jason Terry's point again, where is it?
Right.
Where is that dog?
Maybe we want him to be something that he's not. We keep saying, well, he needs to be aggressive and he was this and that when his dad is that. But maybe that's not him, Skip.
I'm not sure. It's all subtle, and that's why some of this eludes you. But I'm going to point out to you again, this is his rookie year in the NBA as a point guard. He's 20 years of age, and right now he's 10th in this league in steals. That's pretty good as a 20-year-old. He's 8th in this league in assists. Is that pretty good for age 20?
Yeah.
Right? And for much of this year, he has led his team in rebounding until just late when Julius came on as the monster that he should be and can be. Now he's slipped to second in rebounding, but for much of the year, he's led this team in rebounding. In defensive win shares, it's how you play individual defense. He ranks 22nd in the NBA. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And just for the record again, LeBron has sacrificed defense for offense. In this, his 15th year, LeBron is 344th in defensive win shares.
He was 355 last week,
Okay, so he's improved.
Moving on up.
But he's
330
344. Think about this. He's 344. The 20-year-old Lonzo Ball is 22nd?
But, Skip, I don't look at Lonzo Ball is not a great on-the-ball defender.
Well, he's a disruptive defender.
Right. He can play the lanes. He gets his hands on a lot of ball. He deflects a lot of balls.
Yep.
But when I think of great on-ball defenders, I'm not looking at him like a Patrick Beverly. I'm not looking at him like a P.J. Tucker or a Paul George. That's not what he is. He's a long-rangey guy. He deflects a lot of ball. He does a great job of anticipating and playing lanes. But I don't look at him as an on-ball defender. You and I both know he's not that. But when the rubber needs to meet the road, it's late in ball games, and they need a stop, and they got a guy, you already know who's going to get on him, don't you, Skip? 0-2-3. You know he lock him down. Clack, clack.
He used to.
Still will.
I don't
Still
see that.
will. Jumped on Jokic. Remember they played in Denver? They got that game. Jumped on Jokic.
You know,
he played in the
like
5.
Jokic and you like Denver. I don't. And they're dead in the water now. They're not going to make the Western Conference playoffs. But again.
It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, it was fun.
But hey, Jimmy Butler, whoever has the hot hand, if it's late in the ball game, you know what he does. He'll sit in that chair for a couple of minutes. Now, he can't do it like he used to for 30 minutes, like he used to take KD and do him dirty, like he used to do Paul George and do him dirty, like he did Paul Pierce, made him go to Brooklyn.
Ancient history.
Yeah, but he can't do it anymore like that. But for a brief period, if you need 2 to 3 minutes, Joy, Brown, I need you to sit in that chair for 2 minutes. You know how you sit against the wall? You go to CrossFit and they make you sit against the wall, Skip? You know, we used to do that in football.
No, we do not know.
Yeah, we sit against that wall. I sit there for like 5 minutes, Skip. They're like, how you do that? That's LeBron. LeBron is sitting in that chair for 2 to 3 minutes. He just can't do it for 30 like he used to.
Well, if they're going to go win his fourth ring, as they should now that the path is
No,
so
don't do
clear.
that, Skip.
It's wide open.
No.
It's a super highway
Yeah.
to Valhalla.
You know
to
why?
The championship.
You know why?
It is.
You know why it's a super highway? Because he got that bush axe and he just whopping weeds.
Well,
walk up, just getting weeds out the way.
Along the super highway, he's going to have to play a little bit of defense.
He
here
will
and there.
when the time comes.
Yeah.
But as long as now you got to realize, Skip. Now we won these last couple of games with our fourth quarter. Now you know we gonna get that because you know LeBron. He bringing the ball up the court. He's like, no, I want you over there. Now I want you right here. Now I want you. I see this guy over here, Skip. LeBron see him.
It's interesting that we now have Lonzo Ball and LeBron James in the same sentence,
La.
right?
That's the only thing that's in common. La and La.
Really?
LeBron and Lonzo. That's it, Skip.
La and
That's
La.
far as it goes. Now you need to stop playing.
You know, I'm not sure we have this footage from last night, but do we have the steal from last night and the dunk? I was just
You know we.
I don't know if we do. I'm not sure.
Skip,
Yes,
why
we do. We do. Like he steals it, and watch the arrogance. He kind of looks over his shoulder. You know, that was a pretty athletic dunk to me. Did you see him look over his shoulder? Watch this. It's a little arrogance, like you gonna get it or not?
LeBron James would have windmilled it from the free throw line. You remember like he did in Phoenix?
I thought that was, everything Lonzo does is subtle, like it's like effortless.
No.
He doesn't have to show out.
That
and
ain't
show
how I
off.
am.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, I wonder if he liked me. I'm gonna punch you in the throat. You know I'm mad at you. You know what I'm saying, Joy? Lonzo Ball had a little cuff still. LeBron windmilled it from the free throw line. You remember?
Yeah, but did you see Lonzo gave it a little look over the shoulder like, you gonna come try
He
to
thought
get
it because
this?
he thought it was LeBron. Because he know if LeBron would have happened, he know what happened.
He would've
pinned it.
slammed on
No,
him.
no, he wouldn't.
Yeah,
No, he wouldn't have.
You'd seen a little more effort in the
Ask
play.
Andre Iguodala if you could slam on Bron.
So, in Lonzo Ball's rookie year in the NBA,
Yes.
he continues to average 10, 7, and 7.
Good numbers.
And only 4 other players are in those categories or higher. And that would be your guy and Russell Westbrook. Those are 2 pretty good players. And Ben Simmons is a rookie, and he's 7 feet tall with
Don't do that.
Embiid.
Skip.
Woo!
Did he have 13 rebounds last night?
He
6
can
on the
do-
offensive
He can
end.
just stand under the goal.
Don't do that, Skip.
Just stand in the lane. And Draymond. So there are 4 players plus Lonzo Ball. So Lonzo Ball's in pretty heady company,
Yeah.
wouldn't you say, for
Yeah.
that? And by the way, Jason Kidd comparisons, again, do they have the same motor, the same RPM? They do not. But Jason Kidd, as a rookie in the National Basketball Association, averaged 12, 5, and 8. So Lonzo Ball 10, 7, and 7, 12, 5, and 8 for
So
Jason Kidd.
it's about even.
So this is like,
Jason Kidd was co-rookie of the year. Is Lonzo Ball going to be co-rookie of the year?
well, there's some competition out
No,
there.
it ain't no competition.
Donovan Mitchell?
No, it ain't.
Yep.
They need to stop hyping Donovan Mitchell. Ben
Hyping?
Yeah.
If you'd watched Friday night at San Antonio, you would have just said case closed.
All right,
you would have been
I
done.
watched a little bit of it.
You just said that's game over.
Did you
That-
watch
that's-
Ben Simmons? Have you been watching Ben Simmons?
He stands under the goal and he
Skip,
kicks
stop
it
saying that.
He kicks it to Embiid for dunks. It's sweet, man. What a sweet
Oh,
setup.
so now you mad at him because he
can
play
kick it out
alongside
there.
Embiid.
Hey, J.J. Redick is draining just about half of his threes.
Donovan Mitchell got Rudy Gobert,
He
the
does.
Stifle Tower.
He's got the stifle tower.
Okay,
That
y'all
doesn't
got
help
Brook
him on
Lopez. You
offense.
told me Brook Lopez is good, averaging four little rebounds a game.
That's
Do
true.
you know Muggsy Bogues one year at 5'7", averaged 4 rebounds a game? The exact same number that 7'1" Brook Lopez is currently averaging.
He is a skilled 7-footer. That's all I know.
What's his skill?
Shooting
Must be
threes.
painting.
Shooting threes.
Woodworking. Because it sure they playing basketball, averaging 8 points and 4 rebounds. Okay, 12.
So, yet I have to sit here, Joy, day after
What?
day and hear from either right there or often right there that Lonzo's either a bust or he's a disaster. One or the other.
No.
Bust or disaster.
Skip, why
Which
you
is
do
it?
that?
Which is it?
Skip, why do you
I don't
do
know.
that? That's not what I said. Just because I say he's not transcendental, that doesn't mean he's a bust. Is there somewhere ground in between? Is there any ground in between transcendent and bust? Is there anything in between that?
Has a rookie in the NBA ever been so harshly critiqued from morning to morning to morning than this kid?
Oh, bro. The only thing
I don't think so.
The only
I
thing
don't
that
think
saved
so.
Skip, the man was on Sports Illustrated. The man got chosen one. That you constantly bring to people. Why did he get chosen one?
Well, why
Because
did
he
he?
was.
Oh,
He
because
was
he was.
chosen.
He had it tattooed on his
And
back.
it had got to. The mark of the beast.
Okay.
Bullying folks.
I don't know if that's like that.
Yeah, but I wanted to be
You're
marked.
changing.
But here's the thing, though,
On
Skip
that
Bayless.
one.
You talking about he didn't have to
kinda
Skip.
like-
Think about it. He's a local kid straight out of high school.
He was.
We hadn't seen this in a very long time now.
Yeah, but
see-
people were rooting for LeBron.
See, once again,
They were, but now they don't.
you elevate.
Somebody I know.
You keep elevating Lonzo Ball into the same conversation with LeBron James, and that's I'll take that. I appreciate
Stop.
that. That's respect.
But I want you to stop trying to say I said Lonzo's a bust.
Well,
I said he's not transcendental or
I
transcendent.
think you've gone close to bust several times. On various mornings when he shoots 1 for 12 or whatever it was, you're like, that's it, I've seen enough.
Yeah,
right?
I like Ben Simmons. The best thing about an athlete is to know what he's not. And not yet has he realized what he's not, which is a three-point shooter. Ben Simmons knows what he's not. He's like, I'm not a three-point shooter. Unless
he's not a free throw shooter either.
He better than Lonzo.
I don't know.
I know.
Well, if you haven't had enough Ball family news, we have some actual breaking news.
Yeah.
From the Ball family. Angelo Ball has declared for the 2018 NBA draft.
Good luck with that.
According to Yahoo Sports.
Yep.
So he's going to work out for several NBA teams and go to the Combine at IMG in Florida.
So Lakers going to take him in the first round, says LeVar.
LeVar speaking into
Yep.
existence.
How about-
All three of
He
my
ain't get
boys in
drafted.
the Lakers.
I got $20 so he don't get drafted.
You're changing the money now? It's no due?
You want to do?
No, I don't want to because I think you're on to something because I do not think he's going to get drafted.
No.
Drafted off what?
What?
What would they have to go on?
Playing at the Y in Lithuania?
Yeah, his 15.7 points and 2.9 rebounds, 45%
2.9.
three-point range.
Against the Y.
His brother averages 7 rebounds in the NBA, and he's supposed to be, he's got his ball body, right?
Well, we'll see. He's going to work out. No mercy. The Rams made a big splash yesterday, signing Ndamukong Suh to a reported 1-year, $14 million deal. Suh had 15.5 sacks in 3 seasons in Miami, and he now joins a Rams team that has the reigning Defensive Player of the Year in Aaron Donald. And the Rams are also reportedly pursuing a trade for Odell Beckham Jr. The New York Daily News reports the Giants are looking for at least a first-round pick for Odell. We're joined by Rob Parker. Welcome, Rob.
What's
Good morning.
happening? Good morning.
Detroit.
What's going on?
How much better will Suh make the Rams?
On paper, at least, it looks like this is great for them. I mean, Suh and Donald together. I mean, how can you argue with that? Interior, right?
Right.
And a sack maker. I mean, this reminds me maybe of a few years back when he was in Detroit. Do you remember with Nick Fairley?
Right.
Remember that year?
Do I?
And they had a tremendous defense that year. I watched Suh from the very beginning, his rookie year, when he had 10 sacks from inside, which was incredible, led all defensive tackles. But he hasn't been exactly that player the last 3 years, hasn't made a Pro Bowl. I think if he was playing at that kind of caliber, he'd probably still be in Miami or they want him. Or maybe some other team would have offered him a big deal, and instead he's taking a 1-year look-see, kind of got
prove-it deal.
Right, prove it, reestablish yourself. But for the Rams and what they're doing, at least on paper, I love the idea of what they're doing. And maybe just Suh's attention that teams might have to pay to him will even open up Donald even more. So you just wonder with that combination, is this going to be a stepping stone or a place for them to be able to take that next level? Because they lost in that one playoff game, but maybe to make a run for the Super Bowl. We already know the offense is there, and all they've done is add a lot of defensive pieces. So now let me get this right. We got the flag thrower, the chain snatcher, and now with Suh, we got the stomper. So they're not playing around.
No, that's true. And those are difficult people to coach, all 3 of them.
They better get off to a great start.
Yep.
I love this move. From the very first time that Suh was on the market and the Rams showed interest, I thought this was the best fit. Because I believe this will be the best Suh that you've seen since his rookie season. This is the first time in probably 8, 9, 10 years that Ndamukong Suh will play on the defense that he's not the best player. Aaron Donald is unquestioned the best player on that defense.
That's a great point.
But he's going to get tired of hearing how great Aaron Donald is. He's going to get tired of hearing the reigning defensive player of the year. He's like, oh, y'all forgot about Suh, huh? Okay, let me show you. Because that's just natural. 2 great players. I mean, you compete. I remember my first year when I went to Baltimore, Skip, I signed in free agency early on. Guess who else they signed? Ben Coates. Now, Ben Coates and I, we competed. I showed Ben Coates around on his visit to Savannah State.
Wow.
I told him if he wanted to play next year, he better go somewhere else because they were moving me to tight end, and you can't beat me out. But anyway.
And that drove him away, right?
He went to Livingston because he was not going to play in front of Shannon Sharpe. That was for sure. But anyway, to make a long story short.
He still made it to the NFL,
Yeah, he did.
huh? How about that?
But he
Wait,
would have made it.
you just made a long story long.
But you compete. You compete against one another.
Yep.
And I know what Ben did. Ben knew what I did. He knows what Aaron Donald is, but he doesn't want to hear about it every day. But he's going to hear about it every day. And he will he's going to have double-digit sacks. And
Going back there.
And Ndamukong Suh will have double-digit sacks.
He had 15 and a half the last 3 years, and you're telling me?
He's going to get double digits.
Well, he did say he wanted to go someplace where he would no longer get double-teamed. And guess what? I don't think he's going to get double-teamed, right?
Yep.
How can you double-team him? He's going to play on the nose now
Yep.
with Aaron Donald and Brockers and Evan Westbrook. Boy, they got people everywhere coming from all sides. So, quick point about your early years with Suh in Detroit. I always say before every draft, I just watch TV, and I look for people to flash, to literally jump out of my screen into my eyes, where I just can't not see what that guy just did. And when Suh was at Nebraska, all year his last year, but especially in the Big 12 championship game against Texas, I'm just sitting back saying,
I remember on the old show, you were high on Suh. You loved Suh.
I just going into the draft, I said, that guy's the best player in this draft.
Absolutely.
And again, here came Myles Garrett, year before last, going into last year's draft. And I watched him at Texas A&M. He didn't leap off my screen. Maybe I picked the wrong Bradley Chubb games this year, but he didn't leap off my screen where I said, that's the guy.
I got to have.
Yeah. But this guy, yes. And if you put this guy with Aaron Donald, this has become with those two corners. And don't, listen, put Wade Phillips in this equation.
Yes.
I don't think there's anybody better at coaching defense.
Yes.
I know Jim Schwartz did a nice job, but I'm going to remind everybody, the quarterback you despise, Tom Brady, threw for 505 in the Super Bowl against that Eagles defense that, again, it got better in the offseason, no doubt. Haloti Ngata and obviously Michael Bennett.
Right.
But this defense is better than Philly's defense right here, right now.
Yeah.
So last year, the Rams had the #1 scoring offense in pro football. I think they got the best defense with the best defensive coordinator. Well, that's a lethal combination. So how are you going to deal with this, man? You can't stop them, and they can stop you.
Unless what Shannon, you talked about with, I think, dealing with the different personalities part.
It can implode, man.
It can implode if it's not the right mix, and you got a young coach, right? So if you got these big personalities and these issues, that's the only question. I agree. On paper, you would look at this and say, they got to be contenders. How are they not contenders for the Super Bowl? But does it blow up in the coach's face if he can't handle the locker room?
The thing that you love about football is that any sport that you don't pick up where you left off last year. You got to start that climb all over again. It's not like you got halfway up the mountain, Skip, and the next season start and you start the climb from there. No. Everybody starts at the bottom and you work your way up.
Yep.
My only concern, because I know Wade's going to dial up some great defenses and they're going to be ready to play. If they hit a rough patch, who's going to be the guy? Who's going to be the voice of reason in that locker room? You got very, very strong personalities on that defensive side of the football. Now, we didn't mention Odell into this mix.
Well,
because
throw him in.
Yeah.
Throw that hand grenade into this.
Oh, man. See, now there you go.
Well, seriously. But to me, on momentum and star power and firepower, I would love it for a short term. Like, man, you put him on the best offense in pro football.
I would make that trade now, yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Are you kidding? What do they need?
For the 23rd,
right? What do
Odell
they need?
For the 23rd pick? Oh,
Make it in a minute.
Now, how are you going to pay him? He doesn't want best receiver money. He wants best player money. He wants beyond quarterback money, and Aaron Donald has not yet been paid.
Well, Aaron Donald is first.
Okay.
Aaron Donald is the first to eat. You know how, in the South, the dad eat first, the grandpa eat first. He got the big piece of chicken. He got the best pieces of chicken. So he ate first, and then everybody else comes. So whoever comes to the Rams, Aaron Donald is the first one to eat. Now, maybe Odell, or maybe they do something with Todd Gurley next, but the first person to eat is going to be 99.
No doubt about it.
99 is eating first.
So back in the day, I once covered the Los Angeles Rams in their first incarnation at this Coliseum, and they were the most boring team in pro football.
Who was the quarterback back
they
then?
Well,
was that Ferragamo? Or
James
no?
Harris was.
Oh, James Harris. Okay.
Yeah, this is pre.
But
okay. James Harris, Pat Hayden, Ron Jaworski before he was Ron Jaworski, and Joe Namath briefly at the very, very end when he was a sad shell of himself. But the point was they were just, with Lawrence McCutcheon, it was called Ground Chuck because it was Chuck Knox's offense. And it was sleepy at the Coliseum because they won every game 14-10, but they won a bunch of games.
Right.
And then they'd flame out or just go quietly in the playoffs. But my point is, this is a team made for Hollywood, finally. Now you have a Rams team that fills the bill, right?
Yeah.
That they can play under the Hollywood sign as if they belong.
Skip, I went last year to 4 games at the Coliseum. Exciting football, no doubt about it. And then you add all of these names to go along
you get
with
Odell,
it.
Because
Do you know what I mean? I totally agree. It fits.
You can have a defensive guy, but Skip, nothing generates buzz like an offensive player. And Odell would generate buzz. Now, Jared, you have a nice quarterback, but he's not Rodgers. He's not Brady. He's not a Breeze.
But he's got a little gambler in him. I like his moxie and his body language.
But everybody knows Odell Beckham.
They do.
So now you're in Hollywood. You bring Hollywood. It's a match made in heaven and possibly hell, too. That's all I'm saying.
No, possibly.
But it's going to be must-see.
New York to LA.
Hold on. Do you want – now, you know the Rams, that means get kicked back a little further. You're Cowboy. Minnesota, back. New Orleans, back. Green Bay, back. Pennsylvania, back. So you're already down to 6 seed right now, Skip. That's if nobody. Now, we know there are 2 teams that'll make the playoffs that didn't make the playoffs the year before.
Well, all I know is that my team has a better running back than the Rams have. That's all I know. Because we got Zeke. They can have Todd Gurley. I'll take Zeke.
Gurley had an unbelievable
I know he
season
did.
this
He's
past
the
year.
fantasy superstar.
So you feel comfortable that your guy going to play all 16 games next year? Okay.
Yep. I'm good.
I hope so.
I'm hanging.
What you going to do with Dez, though?
I'm going to cut him.
No.
No mercy. Des Bryant's future with the Cowboys remains up in the air. He already said he will not take a pay cut, which led to speculation that he could be released. Yesterday, Cowboys executive VP Stephen Jones said, quote, "We'll talk about Dez when it's time. It's not time." Meanwhile, the Cowboys have added wide receivers Allen Hurns and Deontay Thompson in the last week. Shannon, what's going on here?
Skip, I'm not second-guessing this. I first-guessed this. It seems to me they're trying to box Dez in.
Yep.
Now, they've had free agency. Now we're into the second, third wave of free agency. Now, we're a month from yesterday from the draft. Okay, Dez says, I don't want to take a pay cut. Now, you and I have been talking about this all season long, what they're going to do with Dez after the season. They need to move. Either they move on or they ask him to take a pay.
Yep.
Stephen Jones volunteered this. After the season says, Dez knows he makes a lot of money. Dez knows the expectations that come with that.
Yeah.
Dez knows he hadn't lived up to what he's making. That's what Stephen Jones said. He also said, we're going to do something sooner rather than later. Now, Stephen said this. Okay, you go to Travis Fredericks, restructure his deal. You go to Jason Witten, you redo his deal.
You did?
You signed 2 wide receivers in free agency. Now, the elephant in the room is Dez Bryant. But what it looks like they're trying to do, they're trying to box him in. They're going to get...
As in box him out? As in move him out the back door?
Free agency, draft, everybody's got their guys. Okay, Dez, take a pay cut. Here we are, June. Where's Dez going to go? You either play for this $3-4 million or we're going to have to release you. Well, Dez's like, well, hold on. Y'all could have did this in March. Y'all could have did this in February. You could have did this in April before the draft. Why now?
But you realize what you're describing is some cold-blooded machinations.
Yeah, because
right?
Skip, they want him. They want to keep – Jerry loves him. Jerry wants to keep him, but Jerry wants to keep him at his number because he realized Dez has not performed to the $12.5 million that he's guaranteed, that he's supposed to make this year with that $16 million cap hit.
Yep.
That's what – so the only way – because Dez has made it abundantly clear, I'm not taking a pay cut. Why not? What is sooner rather than later, Skip?
Yep.
You start your boy to free agency, you've already had your board for free agency set for a month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Okay, now you got your draft board set. You've already taken 2 receivers. So what are you waiting on? You've addressed some issues. Travis Fredericks, Jason Witten, no Dez Bryant. So what are we waiting on? What's the issue? You said sooner. You said that. Skip Bayless didn't say that. Shannon Sharpe didn't say that.
No.
Stephen Jones says we're going to talk to Dez. We will address Dez sooner rather than later.
He did.
Skip, we're a month away from the draft.
Yep.
And you know what happens. And the team's like, okay, take a second rounder or a third rounder. Well, had I known Dez, hey, you come after the draft, Dez get released. Had I known, I wouldn't have taken a second or third round receiver. I could have got Dez. if you gonna want, just go ahead and release him. Let him see what's out there. Maybe he comes back to you. But this right here, I don't like the way this smells. I don't like the way this looks because free agency is going on right now. The draft is a month away, and you still, well, it's not the right time. What's the right time? When is a good time to tell somebody you want to take some of their money, Skip? When is a good time to tell somebody you fired? Well, he could have done it better. What's a good way to tell somebody they fired? Do you wait till they come to work and tell them they fired? Then I'm mad at you. Man, you make me get in my car and drive up here. Hell, you could have called me at home. Well, if he called you, that's really insensitive. They could at least let him get to work. So there's no good way, Skip, for somebody to tell you you're fired. There's no good way to tell you we're going to take some of your money back. So I don't know what's the opportune time. There is no such thing as an opportune time when you're dealing with termination or you're dealing with taking someone's money back.
There was only one clean way out of this, and that was if Dez took it upon himself to go to Jerry and say, let me go. I've seen all the handwriting on the locker room wall. I know where you're headed. Just let me go and give me some of free agency to find a new home. It's sort of what happened to Jordy Nelson in Green Bay, where they just told him, we need to cut you in half, and we're going to pretty much cut you out of the game plan. That's what that Gutekunst, the new GM, told Jordy, according to Jordy yesterday in Oakland. He said, they just told me I wasn't really in the plans anymore. Well, then Jordy has to say, let me out.
Well, you're not in my plans either. I know I live here in Green Bay, but don't worry about it. I can up and move. They got Mayflower. They'll come pick all my stuff up and ship it out to somewhere else.
That is correct.
I agree with you. Let him know, okay, Jordy, we want you to take half the money and your role's going to get reduced in half. Like, hold on. Half the work? It's cold. I mean, think about it, Joy. You're in Green Bay. You got to practice. They get cold in Green Bay. And then you stand on the sideline. I mean, it's not as cold when you play as it is if you're standing on the sideline.
I mean, you still get to catch balls from your soulmate, but about half as many.
I got to go. I got to go. If I'm Dez Bryant, I'm like, look here. I don't know. What are they waiting on, Skip? Dez has already told you he doesn't want to take the pay cut. You basically said you want him to take a pay cut. You want him, but you want him at your price.
What they're trying to do is leverage Dez into a position where they back him into a corner where he has to take the pay cut. And they just brought in 2 cheap free agent buys at receiver to try to relight the fire under Dez Bryant and make him actually go to the receiver guru and try to run and learn to run new routes, right?
Yes.
And so you bring in a Deontay Thompson. I'm sorry, I'm a Cowboy fan. I can't get excited about this. Deontay Thompson is now on his 5th NFL team. He was undrafted out of Florida State, and they gave him $1.8 million for 1 year. I'm supposed to get excited about that?
He can run fast.
He can run. He can run fast. He can run a lot faster than Dez Bryant or anybody else on the roster. I'll take that. But then they go get Allen Hurns for a grand total of 2 years at $12 million, so for about $6 million a year. Allen Hurns, undrafted out of the U, had one good year, his 2nd year in the league. It was a breakout year, and guess what? It was an outlier because they gave him his money, and the next 2 years didn't add up to the 1 year. And Jacksonville flat out just cut him and said, see you later. We're done with you. We're cutting all that money, that dead money now that we gave you.
So, it tells me Deontay Thompson. What's Deontay? Thompson. Okay, you have that kind of speed, your hands are suspect.
It is.
Because when you have that kind of speed.
He didn't get drafted. Allen Hurns didn't get drafted. What does that tell you? You should know. And so Allen Hurns got cut by Jacksonville. Then Jacksonville turns around and gives Marquise Lee a ton of money to keep him. And Allen Robinson leaves Jacksonville as a free agent, goes to the Bears, and gets 3 years, $42 million. So the studs, Marquise Lee stayed for 4 years, $34 million. Well, you can see who Jacksonville valued, but they didn't value Allen Hurns. So I'm supposed to get excited about that. So we also signed from the Patriots that Cameron Fleming, he had 20 starts at tackle, left and right tackle for the Patriots in 4 seasons, started 6 games last year. So all that means is the Chaz Green nightmare game in Atlanta won't happen next year because if Ty Smith can't go, you now have a quality backup left tackle to keep Adrian Claiborne from having 6 sacks on Dak Prescott in some game in Atlanta. See what I mean? That's all you got.
Philly.
Short it up.
Looking at it like,
we got this. Yeah, we get to eat that day.
But you must agree, this doesn't smell right to you because you could just go ahead and release Dez and move on, or you can go ahead and give him the reduction. Say, Dez, this is what we can do. You're scheduled to make 6.5. You're supposed to make 12.5. We can get you somewhere around 6 to 7.
They're trying to humble him, like sort of push him back into a place where he'll have to accept half the money.
Yes.
And he'll have to recommit to becoming a better receiver. And to me, I've said it from the start. If you keep Dez Bryant next year, you will still have a Dez problem no matter how little he makes.
Yeah.
He will still cause trouble. He will make waves.
Because here's the thing. Only thing you've done is cut his pay. You still have the expectation level of him to play like he's making $12.5 million.
Yep.
How am I remotivated? Oh, that's gonna reignite his fire. Oh, you take my money now. You want me to come work twice? You want me to work just as hard with making half the money as I was before? Who does that, Skip? If you're on a regular job and your boss comes to you and say, you know what? I know you make $150, but what we gonna do? We gonna cut your pay. He was like, okay, but we still need you to work those same hours. You look at.
But guess what?
If you back to the corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guess what? We got a new receivers coach.
Who is
His
it?
name is Sanjay Lal, and he is on his 5th team in 10 NFL seasons.
I've never heard of him.
I know, I haven't either. So he was receivers coach at Raiders, Jets, Bills, Colts last year for just 1 year, and now Cowboys. And I'm supposed to be excited over that?
Yeah, I don't know much about him, Skip.
Yeah. Hall of Fame bound? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, Skip, it's a little late now. I mean, Dez can go to this guru, and it might help a little bit, but Dez is what he is now. Year 9, Skip, it's hard for you to break habits 9 years deep, because, especially when you've had success. You've had some success doing it your way. Running those handful of routes, you've had success. Running those handful of routes, you've caught more touchdowns than anybody, any receiver in Cowboy history. And they got 2 guys in the Hall of Fame,
So
Bob Hayes and Michael Irvin.
That's true. You know what I think Dez's legacy in the NFL is going to be?
The catch.
The
non-catch.
Rich McKay said yesterday that the reason they have now changed the catch rule was because of the Dez Bryant play at Green Bay in the after 2014 season playoff game.
Yep.
That's it. That was his apex.
He was on the mountaintop.
That was it. That day, that play, 4th down.
And I just remember you throwing up the X. I mean, you just throwing that X up because they were winning, and Dad was getting them tubs every week. You was like
that summer. He was on the cover of not Sports Illustrated, Rolling Stone. That's crossover.
Yeah,
appeal,
and
right?
we was having the serious discussion. Who would you rather have, Julio or Dez? Antonio Brown wasn't in that discussion then. Julio or Dez?
Well, it was a different quarterback at that time.
It was.
Quarterback that, the Cowboys still have on their books, but
I like that.
not that.
Get him, Dak.
No mercy. Last year, the Patriots shot down rumors there was tension between Robert Kraft, Tom Brady, and Bill Belichick. But yesterday, Kraft implied there were still issues when he was asked how they've handled the Super Bowl loss. Let's take a listen.
We met, and I meet individually with each of them. But the thing that I don't know if it's completely understood, that Bill and Tom communicate and meet a lot and spend a lot of time communicating. And I think the residual of this loss, was really hard on everyone. But I sort of see that as a high-class problem because I sat in the stands when we never were in the playoffs. When I think about tension, I think about my first year as an owner. And I love Bill Parcells, but, if you knew him as a coach, the players walked on eggshells. And maybe ownership did, as we went down the learning curve of how to get along. And it was a great lesson for me to learn and train and try to understand how to be a good owner and at the same time how to work with a very strong and powerful coach. And I think, the so-called tension gets greater when you lose.
Shannon, how big of a problem is this for the Patriots?
This is a big deal because Mr. Kraft is still addressing it. And the underlying thing, he used Coach Parcells as a reference. But guess what happened with Coach Parcells? He left. Bill Belichick's still there. Tom Brady's still there. He said, high-class problem. See, Skip, those are the worst problems to have. You know why? Because you can't throw money at them and make them go away. This has nothing to do with money. this has everything to do with who gets the credit. When we talk about those great Packers teams, they're Lombardi Packers. They don't talk about Bart Starr. He was great, Hall of Fame. They don't say Nitsky. They don't say Horning or Jim Taylor. Lombardi Packers. Now, Skip, there was a dichotomy working in San Francisco. Bill Walsh, Joe Montana. Bill Walsh and Joe Montana. Bill Walsh retires, Joe Montana go gets another one. Now Joe Montana is most responsible. Who is most responsible for what's going on in New England? Coach Belichick believed he could find out. Give me Jimmy G and I can win a Super Bowl here. All he needs is win one. Tom Brady says, hey, it's me. All I need to do is win one without you. The tension's still there. You can meet all you want to. You slap that man's hand. Tom Brady's looking at Coach Belichick. Coach Belichick, I've been with you for 18 years. 5 of those, at the end of the season, we've been the happiest of all the NFL teams. 12 times we've been to the AFC Championship game. Coach Belichick say, Bob Kraft, I've been with you for 20 years. And I've won you 5 Super Bowls, and you tell me no? You see, the thing is what he talks about here, again, I reference Coach Parcells. Coach Parcells was a lifer, was a football lifer. Mr. Kraft was a novice. So Coach Parcells was throwing his weight around because Mr. Kraft didn't know any better. But as Mr. Kraft started to grow, he's like, hold on, wait a minute. You can't talk to me like that. I signed your check. If I say this how it goes, this how it goes. And guess what happens? Mr. Kraft, he's a small man by stature, short, but not in stature, but in height. Stood up. Bill, I pay your salary. This is what I'm telling you to do. I'm not asking you. This is what I'm telling you to do. Coach Belichick still have that grudge. Because see, Skip, that's the only time I believe that he's ever told Coach Belichick no. And Coach Belichick and Tom Brady, they can meet until the cows come home. But Tom Brady knows that Coach Belichick was willing to part ways with him to prove that he is the mastermind behind all of this. And all of this success is because of BB. So Mr. Kraft can try to put a nice spin on it all he wants to. But this is not going away. This is going to be an undercurrent, and the other's trying to wait the other out because I want credit. Because if whoever wins one without the other, there'll be no doubt who's the responsible party.
I am with you every step of the way on this. This is the 3rd time publicly Robert Kraft has acknowledged he has a problem. He's 3 times called it a problem. And I remind you what he said the morning before the AFC Championship game in Foxborough on NFL Network. He said, there's a lot of strong-minded people here, but when you have something good going, everybody's got to get their egos checked in and try to hold it together. So he's imploring Brady, Belichick, just try to swallow some of your pride and realize we got it good here.
We got a golden goose.
They got a golden goose, and it was golden that afternoon against Jacksonville, right? And it's another Brady comeback and Super Bowl, here we come. And it doesn't feel the same now because it didn't work in the Super Bowl for many various reasons, even though the quarterback threw for the most yards in playoff game history. But now at the league meetings, the owners' meetings, Mr. Kraft has to sit back and try to spin it into we have a high-class problem, meaning a great problem that every other team in this league would love to have our problem. But it's still a problem. And he can't fix it unless somebody goes.
Exactly.
And right now, he's holding on for dear life. Let's try it again one more time and hope they can keep their egos in check and make it work. But it started to unravel when, after Belichick, for the first time, as you point out, got overruled by the owner, he gave away Jimmy Garoppolo. And he had already given away a Jacoby Brissett, who's now hot on the trade market. Everybody's trying to trade for Jacoby Brissett because he showed some ability last year. He showed he could be a starting quarterback and be pretty good. And a lot of teams want him probably as a quality backup quarterback, but somebody might want him as a starter. So you gave him away to Indy. You gave away Jimmy G to the young coach that you love and you've mentored in Kyle Shanahan. And then all of a sudden your quarterback winds up with a gash in his hand and you just openly ridicule it. You just did. You just ridiculed it. It was a media circus,
And
not a football.
Rob Parker, he poo-pooed it.
He poo-pooed it. He completely poo-pooed it. Well, that's just like you're being openly disdainful of your franchise quarterback that you wanted to ease into the sunset after this year, right? And now we get to the Super Bowl, and inexplicably, you don't play Malcolm Butler for one defensive snap after he played the most defensive snaps during the regular season?
Of anybody.
Of anybody? How do you explain that, Mr. Kraft? Do you think Robert Kraft has had that conversation with Bill Belichick? Has he dared to?
And you and I talked about it on Friday. When have you known the Coach Belichick to show up at a basketball game during week of the Super Bowl?
I don't know.
I'm like, either he feels awful confident that his team's going to win, or he just like, take this, Mr. Kraft.
Heck with it, yeah.
I mean, because this is what this is about, Skip. This is all this is about.
Yeah.
This is about credit, because it's going to go down in history. Lombardi Packers, Joe Montana 49. Because just look at the stuff that Bill Walsh is creating. So we'd have never known. Because it is, well, was it Bill Walsh or was it Joe Montana? But when Joe goes out there and hangs 55 points on the Broncos in Super Bowl and they win again, okay, well, Joe's the reason why.
Yep.
That's what we got to have. The history books. Who in the history books, when we write this chapter, when we close this chapter, sometimes, Skip, you got to know, you got to turn the page. Sometimes you close the book. Right now, we're flipping pages, Joy. When we close this book, what's going to be written? Who's responsible for this? Somebody got to be responsible. We can't, 50-50. 50-50 doesn't work. It doesn't work in this situation. Somebody got to get the credit. And Coach Belichick wants to know. Get Tom up. If you let me have Jimmy G, I could have proved it.
Yep. So, as you always point out, obviously, Coach Belichick can coach much longer than Tom Brady can play, even though Brady says, I would like to play till I'm 45, 3-4 more years.
Right.
Coach Belichick, arguably, could coach until he's 80. I don't know, right? He could coach for 10, 12.
At least another 5. Let's use conservative say another 5 years.
But clearly, he has the capacity to coach longer than Tom plays.
Right.
So, obviously, all Robert Kraft wants is a 6th Super Bowl ring, so he's just hoping to hang on for dear life, keep the egos in check. Maybe he can try to govern it, manage it from on high, and try to get them through another year in which they will be favored going into next year to win another Super Bowl, right? Because they're currently favored.
Yes.
But here's what could force Robert Kraft's hand. At what point, and a lot of people thought at the end of Tom versus Time that Tom seemed down, and he seemed to be suggesting that he's talking about when you don't have conviction, when your conviction wanes, then you shouldn't be doing it anymore. And some people took that like a negative, like I'm having second thoughts about this. If at any point Tom Brady says, Mr. Kraft, I need to sit down with you, Mr. Kraft, this is not fun anymore because I just don't enjoy playing for that guy. That'll force your hand.
Yeah.
Then what? Now what are you going to do? Thank you very much, Tom. See you later. You gonna pat him on the head and let him walk into the sunset? Because it could come to that.
He's made it abundantly clear how he views Tom Brady. He views Tom Brady in the same light he views his blood sons, Jonathan Kraft. He has 4 kids. Well, actually, he has 5 because Tom Brady is his.
I agree.
Tommy.
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 I mean, when you FaceTime, when a player is FaceTiming the owner in Israel or on vacation, be it he's on vacation or the owner's on vacation, that lets you know the relationship or the type of relationship they have. It's very, very unique.
So we disagree on this, but if you pushed me into a corner and I owned and operated the New England Patriots, I'm telling Coach Belichick goodbye.
I ain't.
That's what I would do.
I'm telling Tommy.
Yep.
He's out.
Tommy.
22s.
After all those Super Bowls,
22s.
near Super Bowls, and he just was the MVP of this league, and he threw for the most yards ever in a playoff game.
Joy, throw him up with me.
Yeah.
Deuces.
No mercy.
Our next guest has been called by a lot of people the best player in the draft, Sacrum Barkley. Welcome to Undisputed.
Thank you, guys. Thank
Good
you.
to have you. You're one of the guys that's been discussed as the first pick. How much does that matter to you?
Obviously, as a competitor, you would love to go number one. That's just your competitive nature. But my mindset and my approach to the game is it don't really matter where I get drafted, whether it's 1, 7, 32, or the last pick in the draft. It's not going to change my approach to the game and my mindset, and continue just coming with the same work ethic and the same mentality to become a better player and strive for greatness every day.
The team that selects Saquon Barkley, what are they getting?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. I can't sit on here and tell you and promise you that I'm going to rush for 2,000 yards. I'm going to get a Rookie of the Year award. I'm going to take your team to this place or that place. So I can't promise you that. But one thing that I can promise you, you're going to get a guy who's a competitor. You can ask anybody that knows me. I'm competitive. I'm the competitive person. If it's chess, if it's football, if it's Xbox, whatever it is, I'm passionate about the game, and I'm truly passionate about the game. A lot of people come up and say that, but I really believe I'm really passionate about the game. I love the game ever since I was a little kid, and my work ethic. I'm a hard worker. That's the only thing I know. If I look back on my career and how I got to the point where I'm at, I'll be a fool not to follow those same footsteps and be a leader, vocally and by example. And all that together, that's what I know, and that's the only thing I can promise you that you're going to get from me.
I'm always intrigued by bloodlines, and I look at your family tree, and you got a lot of boxing in your family tree, back to your great uncle Iran Barkley. Remember him?
I do.
And he won championships at 3 different weight class levels, and he beat Tommy Hearns, if people remember Tommy
Crushing
Hearns.
knockout.
Yeah,
Twice.
and he went to the
Hagler.
mat with Duran too.
Yeah.
Duran was like the fight of the year. He narrowly lost it, but. Did you consider boxing at all? Do you have any boxing in your blood?
Yeah, I kind of trained a little bit for boxing growing up. That's something that I actually would love to do when football is done.
Really?
Football is my love and my passion. I don't know if I'm ever going to go professional. I don't like getting hit in my face.
Well, you probably should not be boxing
not.
long.
Exactly. Especially if you look at my uncle, the way he was a brawler, the way
Oh,
he fought, and his style of boxing. But my father also was a boxer too, winning Golden Gloves. Kind of messed up his shoulder, didn't have the money or whatever to really recover. So growing up, I used to box. My dad used to like make me go outside in the street and just box random kids for whatever reason.
Really?
Yeah, but at a young age, fell in love with the game of football. Ever since I was
Well, did that translate into running the football a little bit? Just the toughness that he tried to instill in you?
No, it was just something that, I don't know. My dad used to tell me when I was at a very young age, like even like 2 to 4, kids would be outside playing with toys or playing outside, and I'm a Jets fan growing up. My dad would be watching the Jets, and I'd be right on his hip watching the game, sitting there just glued to the TV. And he said I was looking at my mom saying, I'm going to play in the NFL one day, and I'm going to buy your house. And that's something that I just been
And
saying
this was
since I
in the
a kid.
Bronx, right?
Yeah, when I was born in the Bronx, yep.
Whew. And how long were you in the Bronx before you moved to rural, smaller town Pennsylvania?
Yeah, a lot of people love to claim me from New York, but I'm not. I was born there, and I lived there till I was 5 years old. My mom and dad thought it was a better decision, school-wise, to move their family out there. So I moved to Pennsylvania, and I've been living in Copley, PA, where I live now ever since I was 8 years old.
If I'm not mistaken, the last running back selected first overall was from Penn State, Kajana Carter. You've heard the whispers, Penn State running back Kajana Carter, Curtis Enos, DJ Dozier, Larry Johnson had 2 good years in their book.
did.
How do you say, look, I understand those guys from Penn State, but I'm a different breed. I'm a different cat.
Yeah, I think you got to look at the game and how the game evolved and where it's at now. It's 2 different type of games, type of styles from when Kajana Carter was drafted in '95 and to 2018. And Kajana Carter, all those backs were great backs, but that don't worry me. Being a bust don't worry me, because the word bust in my mind is different in other people's mind. If you go out there and you get hurt, and you can't come back, especially when Kajana got hurt, we didn't have the technology and equipment we have today, and that messes up your career, that's not a bust to me. That's the game of football. That's the nature of the game. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. You take that chance every single day you go to play. Bust to me is a guy who don't go out there and don't work, and who gets complacent. And I'm not worried about that with how I was brought up and how I was raised, and my mindset, my competitive nature, that don't bother me. So when people make that description and that compare me to the backs in the past, I kind of laugh at that, because Kajana Carter and all those backs were great backs, and it just didn't happen. It just didn't work. And you look at those, it wasn't like they just didn't play well. They got hurt. And if you look at now and the game style and what it is now, I've been very healthy, God willing, thankfully. In college football, I was one of the only backs that went to the combine, and you guys don't see this part, but they're pulling at you and telling you this way, and I just went through, I flew by it. So I'm not really worried about that view of me of being a Penn State back, and hopefully I can diminish that this year.
Well, that's the thing behind the scenes, Skip. If you have something on you that might be hurt, they jerk and pull on it and try to make it hurt even more than what it is.
Yeah. So at that combine, you run the second best 40 at 4.4. You're number one in the vertical jump among running backs, and your 29 bench press reps tied for first with Nick Chubb, right? Were you happy with those numbers? Could you have exceeded those numbers?
Yes. My coach, Coach Franklin, has been quoted saying that was a very average performance for me, and I truly agree with him. Like we were talking about before, I'm usually a 30 or 35 guy.
In the bench press.
In the bench press, had to take a little time off, but
because you banged up your shoulder in the last game?
last game of the year.
Yep.
So I had to take a little time off. So I'm usually anywhere from a 30 or 35 bench press.
And the record for running backs is
32.
Sherrick
Jeremy McKinnon.
32.
32. 32. So I was going for that, but be able to take that little time off and come back and get 29, I can't complain with that, but I really wanted 32. My 40, I popped up twice. My starts were awful. I'm truly a 4.3, 4.2 guy. The fastest I've been clock laser training was a 4.29. So I had really bad starts. The first one was a bad start. The second one I stumbled. In the vert, I got 42 before, but I've been anywhere from 40 to 42. So that's probably the only part that I'm really okay with, I guess.
If you had timed 4.2, the Browns would be having a hard time right now thinking about you or Sam Darnold or whichever quarterback they're going to take.
Did you go to one of these academies and train, or did you train at Penn State?
No, I trained at Tom Shaw.
Okay, yeah.
Yes,
okay, you
Shaw.
down in Florida.
Yeah. Trained at Tom Shaw, and
Deion, that's Deion's guy. Deion went down there.
Yeah. And if you just look at Tom Shaw and the numbers that he put out with the players, I think he has 7 coming into the combine last year. He has 7 of the top 10 fastest 40s of all time. And what I love about Tom Shaw and his facility, it's not just training you to be a combine athlete. They bring guys in like Ike Taylor and sit you down and talk football, get you ready to be a pro, and how you can handle your body, and take that mindset of a vet. You know, a lot of people, the things I get a lot of advice is how to take care of your body, and I hear they didn't get it till the 4th or 5th year. Try to get that right now. Try to make that mindset your rookie year and come in with that red approach.
So, gut feeling, whatever you hear, your reconnaissance so far, do you figure Cleveland will take Sam Darnold? Is that what you're hearing or guessing?
To be completely honest, I have no clue.
Okay.
No clue what's going on. Obviously, my team has been talking to a lot of teams and got some visits set up here and there, but I have no clue. I'm just taking it day by day. I wish the draft could be here a little quicker, but the mindset I'm just having right now is continue to work, because you dream to go to the draft, but that's not your dream. You dream to be elite in the NFL, and I want to be one of the best.
So a lot of people had you penciled in then second to the Giants, and then they trade JPP if you followed this, and now it would look more like they would want to take a defensive end, Chubb, and that would push you down maybe to where you and Sam Darnold both wind up with the Browns. Would you be happy with that?
Yeah, I'll be happy whatever team drafts me. The way I view it is you're fortunate enough to be in this position. A lot of people love to be in your position, and who am I to say I don't want to go to this team, or I don't want to play for that team, or I don't want this team to draft me? That's I don't know. That's idiotic to me. But wherever team draft me, I'm truly going to be honored. It's truly going to be a blessing, and I'm going to come down with my head humble and just come to work.
No mercy. Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. We're back at the same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.